Well. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming back to another episode of the Denied Entry to USA show, a show that's there for you and only you and no one else. As you guys know, I always have that same intro. I'm just used to doing the internet radio show more so than the YouTube. But as time goes on, I get better and better at it. So anyway, my name is Ken Scott, as you guys know. I am a senior US Immigration Law Intelligence Analyst with US Entry Waiver Services.com. And we resolve all US border crossing issues. And we love to focus on the complex ones. Let me do something here quickly. Yeah, all right. So anyway, I don't know if you guys, you guys can still see me anyway. So, I can talk and talk and talk all day and night, but I sometimes have to cut myself off because if not, then, I will go over. But today's show, something different. Today, I'm going to talk about these these quote unquote accredited fingerprinting companies. Now, you guys have seen them, you've driven by them, you've seen them online, other places, yada, yada. And these are accredited fingerprinting companies say, oh, we're accredited, so can you come on in for fingerprinting, yada, yada, all the other mumbling BS. Let me just tell you guys up front what accredited means. So if Tony the chimpanzee decides to contact the RCMP and he says that he wants a fingerprinting company, as long as Tony the chimp passes the background, he's accredited. Now, Tony the chimp has, I'm going to call red wine as his assistant or whatever, or technician, whatever. Because Tony is accredited, so is red wine. Red wine can be dumber than 10 boxer rocks, but he's accredited. So, guys, when you hear this BS about accredited fingerprinting companies, only thing it means is that the company contacted the RCMP and asked to do fingerprints. The company did a cursory, or I guess you'd say a background check, which is fine. Say, okay, yep, you're fine. You're not an ex-murderer. You're not a killer, yada, yada. And that's all it is. A simple background check. But I mean, they try to hang on this accreditation so much, but even you're accredited doesn't mean you know what the F you are doing. Case in point, lawyers are quote unquote accredited. How many bad lawyers do we have out here that are screwing up border cases, if not criminal cases? I probably should not touch upon that too much. By the same token, just because you're accredited means F all, because you can be accredited until the cows come home. It does not mean you know what you're doing. And I'm going to give you guys an example. There's a lawyer in Washington State. I won't say the name. And anyway, this lawyer did a waiver packet for a guy before the guy came to us. Long story short, the guy basically, he was in the USA on a green card, whatever. He got in some trouble there, and then he had to leave, which is fine. He got some convictions, which, whatever. And that was in, I'm going to say in the 80s. So this individual in Surrey, he put his packet together. Well, sorry, the lawyer put his packet together. The lawyer didn't do the other part regarding covering why the guy was asked to leave. He did nothing of the sort to cover that part. So the guy's case subsequently got denied. So when I saw the packet, I could not believe it came from a lawyer, immigration lawyer at that. So I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to play that silly game. But that's just one prime example. And I'm going to remember back in, who's this?
If you are obsessive compulsive, press 1 repeatedly. If you are codependent, ask someone to press 2 for you. If you have multiple personalities, press 3, 4, 5.
Anyway, I'll take care of that later. So anyway, this particular lawyer, this is a second lawyer, he did an L1 visa for a client, one of his clients. and he bungled it up so badly, the guy got denied. So the guy came to us, we looked at it, and we said, who did this? He said, this lawyer. So I said, okay, well, this is all done incorrectly. So we got the guy's L1, yada, yada. And that was years ago. So between then and now, there's been other lawyers and these accredited fingerprinting companies. And I'm going to go out and come out, I'm going to come out and say discount waiver companies as well. You know, you put these cases together, you really have to know what you're doing. So just because you're accredited means, again, F all. I don't think I'm allowed to say the F word out completely. I could say duck all, like, you know, like a duck that quacks. So basically, guys, when you hire someone, you need to retain someone that knows what they're doing. More so, you need to retain someone that has the tools, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, and the material in order for you guys to win your cases. So case in point, I'm going to give you an example. Put the good old mic down. You guys know I always have this thing. It's called a snowball. All right, so what we do, we use various manuals, regulations, etc. These are the same manuals used by the high-end firms in LA, high-end law firms. I'm not going, let me see if I can, I can do like that quickly. You guys maybe can see the thickness of this manual there. You know, guys, the only thing about these videos is these discount waiver companies and even some lawyers, they're constantly circling like sharks, trying to find ways to grow their business at a cheap rate. And at the risk of my ego being larger than the planet Jupiter, they apparently watch these videos and learn and try to market it. So yes, my ego is so large, I cannot even fit this universe. But nevertheless, they watch these videos. So let's get right into it. All right. For example, you guys already know what a US Entry Waiver is. And this is a waiver case we're working on currently. We block out the client's info. Do it like this. Okay, this is what they look like. Don't know if this is even clear or not. Anyway, so I blocked the client's name, which is fine, whatever. Your name is your name. You could be King Kong, or you could be Long Dong, whatever. Now, this one, this is so hard to do. You know what I should have done was just block out the appropriate areas, but I will do like this. So this page anyway shows the mailing address. It shows the person's place of birth, which is fine. This page shows the person's address. In fact, you know what? In this page I can do this. There. You guys can see that or not. I don't think you can see it. But anyway, this page shows the person's address. Address is an address. This next page, okay, talks about purpose for entering, and we put the person's purpose for entering down. Now, I'm not going to school these discount waiver companies on how to put cases together to win. What I will say, the purpose of entering has to be appropriate. Has to be appropriate. I will just say that. And the reason why I said it is because if it's inappropriate, you could end up getting jammed up at the border trying to cross over. So if the discount waiver company puts down the fact that you only want a waiver for Disneyland, and then you want to go to buy a timeshare, the guard can say, oh, well, that's not covered under your waiver, sir, so there's the door. It's much more to it than that, but I'm just giving you guys like a basic overview. So, but the big point I'm getting at here is because we use these manuals and the same tools as high-end firms, that's why we have the 99% success rate, soon to be 100%. So these so-called accredited companies say, oh, you get your waiver quick, yada, yada. You guys, you cannot play with these forms. These forms are nothing to F around with because these forms will jam you up in the future. And employer, which whatever employer. Now, for employer, that's very important that the employer part is done appropriately or correctly, because if not, you realize you can be denied entry for not having proper employment. This is irregardless as to whether you need a waiver or not. And asking about parents here, which there's a reason they look at the parental area, because if your parents are born and raised in the USA, you might qualify for what's called derivative citizenship. And if you do, you don't even need this thing. You don't need it. That's for another video, though. And asking about spouses, yada, yada. But you know what? Let me go back. I just thought of something. I thought of something really good here. Here's what screws people who cheap out and use these cheap companies and these lawyers that have the brains of a flea. Have you ever been in the United States for a period of 6 months or more? You guys have to be careful with this question, because a lot of these questions in general, they're designed to elicit a certain response from you. And the thing is, all these questions on here, there's an applicable area in the manuals as to why they're being asked. So you have to know how to, quote unquote, respond to the appropriate question. Remember, guys, like I always say, none of this is legal advice. This is just stuff we've learned from our years of training and experience, because I've trained immigration lawyers in the past. So that's one of the things they look at closely. And another thing is, have you ever filed an application or petition for immigration benefits with the U.S. government, or has one been filed on your behalf? If that's a yes, you guys really have to be careful how you answer that one as well. Because you guys need to also understand for these waivers, this is for you guys who cheap out. This is a document, well, not this, but when you get cleared, it's a document that allows you to enter a foreign country. And if you guys cheap out, it's done incorrectly, you are screwed. That's all I'm going to say in that sense. Because let's say that your offense does not even need a U.S. waiver. You apply for one anyway because Batman's Pardons and Waivers have said, oh, we'll do a waiver for $5.99. Fine. Batman did his $5.99 waiver. Great. Now, 10 years from now, 2030, you're a guy, you meet a girl in Seattle and decide to get married, and she tries to sponsor you, and your immigration lawyer says, you cannot get sponsored, sir. You now need an I-601 waiver, which is a hardship waiver for sponsorship, and yada, yada. And had you guys used your head in the beginning and not cheaped out, you could have went to someone, it doesn't have to be us, but someone who would know which offense would require a waiver, or ways where you don't have to necessarily get a waiver. So now, because you cheaped out, and this is happening to one guy now, it's going to bite him in his backside probably in 2 years. He cheaped out. He actually doesn't need a waiver, but because Batman told him to do a waiver, he's going to do it. But he says, if I screw up, can I come back? So sure. I'll charge you $6K to turn it around, but sure. And he was laughing, said, he said, okay, I'll pay $6K. He doesn't realize how close he is to the truth. But anyway, that's his prerogative. So anyway, I was talking about the guy who applied for a waiver, didn't need to. And now what's going to happen is, in the near future, if you get denied for that 601 hardship waiver, you are screwed. You don't get the green card from the new wife in Seattle. Now, mind you, there's ways we can get around it if that happens, but it's going to cost you. So the thing is with us, we can get around, I would say, without going into too much detail, we can get around 99% of most inadmissibility issues. There's two things we cannot get around, which I won't say on air here. But beyond that, we can pretty much get around. Yeah, okay, I'll go as far as say maybe 95%. But we can get around just about everything. So when you guys see, these ads for Accredited Fingerprinting company, that means duck all, and that's it with the D, with the D. It means duck all. Just because you're accredited does not mean you know what you're doing. You've got to get someone who understands the system, who's worked for the system, who has this material, who has the critical thinking skills, who has the resources, and can get this cleared, and someone who has a very high degree of success. Now, this manual, I mean, we use many manuals. This manual is a godsend right here. I wanted to show you guys something in the manual. What it used to be back in the day was that if you had if you were Canadian and you crossed over and you had an I-94, what we used to be able to do was show that because you were not issued an I-94, you were not deemed to have overstayed. If you're not deemed to overstayed, you don't need a waiver. But they've changed that here in the new manual. I saw it here a few weeks ago. I can't find it now. That's been changed now. So, but the thing with that also, guys, if you overstay 1 year, the book says that you have a 10-year ban. So let's say you overstayed, I'll say December 2012 is when you came back to Surrey. So as long as you only have an overstay, you don't have false statements, any criminality, yada, yada, you'd be good until December 2022. So if you would just hold out for that and make sure that time is done, you will not need a waiver. And if you want to get a waiver before that time period ends, then I mean, that's fine. That's a different story. So it can be done, bottom line. But don't let these, I won't even say lawyers, don't let Batman's pardon and waivers tell you guys that, oh yeah, everything needs a waiver. That's a crock of BS. It does not. And accreditation, again, means F all. But, it's up to you guys. You guys do what you want. It's your money, not mine. But if you guys believe everything you hear from some of these competitors when they say, oh, everything needs a waiver, yada, yada, just where's your credit card? Then I've got some prime oceanfront property to sell you on the lunar surface. So we had one troll, but he's calmed down. Well, we got actually 3 or 4 trolls, but we had one funny troll. He's calmed down now. I used to refer to him as a mellow fellow, but since he's calmed down, so which is great. And I'm not going to disrespect him. I mean, he's a really sweet guy, yada yada. So, I'm sure the girls in high school said he was a sweet guy, but I don't know. With me, the girls used to always say, they used to always call me a player. I was like, how am I a player? I'm just a simple, laid-back guy. But the girls then, and women even now, they say, you look like a player. I said, look, how can I be a player? I'm no player. But anyway, it is what it is. So, all right, we're going to stop this video. I think that's enough. We're going to do another one. And this next one is going to be for what happens when your US entry waiver gets denied and how we can turn that around as well. So you guys better be careful with your money. I mean, again, it's your money, but if you guys get screwed by a lawyer or a cheap waiver company, then it's your own fault. You know what? Because you got to have this material like I showed you, like this. And quickly here, we also use 2 of these binders like this. You guys can. Homeland Security Utility Manual. Okay. Volume 1. So look how thick this monster is. This monster has a bunch of stuff in here that you will not find online. This is stuff that's only on paper that you cannot find. So a lot of this is supplements that we can put in your packet to show why you do not need a waiver, yada yada. So I'm not going to bore you guys with it. But what I will say before we leave is we've got the actual criteria sheets from Homeland Security that they use to decide if your waiver is going to be approved. So if your case goes against those criteria sheets, you will get denied. And I can almost guarantee you with 99% certainty, no other provider has access to this material. So we know if you'll get denied or not based upon what the material says, because it says same adjudication standards. And that's why we put stuff like this in these binders because when's the last time you saw a binder sitting on a table get hacked? Not happening. So anyway, guys, I will let you go. And next video will be about US Entry Waiver denied. So again, it's Ken Scott from US Entry Waiver Services.com at 888-908-3841 or 604-332-9213. The Denied Entry to USA show. And in the words of my Vulcan colleague, live long and prosper. And how do I stop this?
I got to tell you, folks, wait till Hulk Hogan comes out here. The roof is going to come off the Bell Center here in Montreal. As the anticipation builds, you can feel it. The legendary Hulk Hogan is a heartbeat away